What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Out of the Park Baseball 26, where it's July 11th, 2032 here in our Pirates rebuild. We sit atop of the NL Central with a 3-game lead over the Cincinnati Reds, looking to defend our status as back-to-back World Series champions. Of course, if you've been watching along the series, you know today is the first-year player draft, so that is going to be the primary agenda item for us. We're going to look to finish the draft, advance through the All-Star break. We are, squarely in the middle of July here. We're going to look to advance through the All-Star break. We'll review all the news that comes out around then, and we'll push all the way up to the trade deadline. I don't know that we'll finish the trade deadline in this episode. I want to kind of make this a rather quick one, but I always say that, and the episodes end up being an hour long, so we'll see how it goes. But I kind of want to just leave on the trade deadline, and then in the next episode, we'll look to just wrap up the entire back half of the season together. So I don't think we're going to play too many games today, but we're going to, turn our attention toward the future and hopefully add some good talent to our system. So before we dive in, I appreciate any feedback we got on the last episode, and I, appreciate you guys returning to the series. If you're watching these in real time, I took a couple of days off from playing. Was just really busy and then wasn't feeling too well. So now we are back, hopefully ready to push through the remainder of this season together. And of course, if you're just like binge watching these later on, shout out to you as well. But you didn't notice any gaps in the video at all. So we'll check in on our on-the-field performance, I guess, once we wrap up the draft and start playing games. But let's actually take a look at the board here. We had last left off on the clock, considering a few options here. I think it really came down to 3 players for us. We have outfielder Dustin Harp, the left-handed 18-year-old with, a great personality, very contact forward, gap power forward, decent fielder, but not spectacular. I just really liked both outfielders, I think, at the top of the board here. Cody Summers as well is really, tough to pass up. We're not going to take either of them. Cody Summers is a 17-year-old, almost 18, but brings like generational plate discipline and power. So in a normal year, I would take him, but I don't think that he would be like a luxury pick for us. He's so far away. I don't know. We've had success with high school outfielders in previous drafts, and we have a couple that have panned out, but I think we sort of need pitching, and that brings me to Jeff Flanagan, and I think, he's so bizarre for what I usually, he's so outside of what I normally look for in pitching prospects. He's topping out at 89, which is crazy. But everything else is so strong with him. He's got good stamina, a great personality, good movement and control. So I think we're going to look to take a chance here on the 22-year-old, push him to a high level in the minors, pretty much immediately. I don't know if he'll go straight to AAA, but I may just kind of start him out at A-ball, give him one start there, one start at high A, and then kind of bump him up after 1 or 2 starts at each level, and we'll see how far he makes it this season. You can see his ratings relative to high. Currently, he has a little more stuff to tap into here. I think he can work on improving several of his pitches, but again, he's already an 80 grade talent there, so don't want to keep him there too long. Even at Eastern League, AA, he's already pretty much fully developed as well. It's just kind of rounding out the pitch quality. And then maybe he can factor in for us as early as next season at the major league level where, maybe we bring him into spring training if he looks good, or we could even just straight up plan around him being our 3 or 4 starter. So looking to bring on Jeff Flanagan, the lefty here out of Grand Canyon University. This will underslot the pick. I think he wouldn't make it back to us if we decided to risk it here. If we go to the mock draft, you can see I considered maybe going with Summers here and trying to chance if Flanagan would make it around to us. I just think because he is so cheap, it's highly, highly unlikely. So we'll see what bats are available with our next pick. We may just go heavy pitching this draft. We'll kind of see. But Flanagan is already projected to have gone, so he's kind of found money for us in that sense. We're going to scoop him up here. And then ahead with our next pick, I think we would be looking for guys. I mean, if Dustin Harp were to slip all the way to, the last pick of the second round, that would be a huge win, but I'm not expecting that. I think maybe Kent King, who is projected to go at 25, could slip down 10 picks to 34. But we also have other pitchers we like Keplinger, and, further down the board we have Josh Spira as well. So that's sort of the strategy. Let's see how it plays out here. We're going to just dive straight into things here with the draft. We're going to take Jeff Flanagan and meet his demand of $1.1 mil. And hopefully he signs with us quickly, because I want to, like I mentioned, push him through our minor league system. So there we go. Jeff Flanagan is the 31st pick of the first round for the World Series champion Pittsburgh Pirates. Let's go ahead and advance to our next pick and see who is available. And okay, it looks like most of our guys have gone, unfortunately. I'm not seeing, big 80 grade plus potentials here. Weisenberg, we did look at, is available. But let's go ahead and go through the history here and pick up kind of where we left off. So Summers goes with the very next pick to Boston. To be expected, we had looked at Aaron McConnell, kind of the utility shortstop. He goes in the supplemental rounds. Let's see, Dustin Harp goes in the supplemental rounds to New York as well. So our two big outfielders go. And let's see if we recognize any of these other names here. Josh Spira goes way earlier than projected. So the high school right-hander, the 17-year-old pitcher, I really was hoping he would have been available with this pick. I would have highly considered him. 3 80-grade pitches and, plus stuff and movement potential. Definitely a project, but sad to see that he's unavailable for us. Kent King as well goes, I can see. So Spira goes here. It looks like some of the relievers come off the board early. It was a really talented reliever class. Kent King goes off the board at 18 in the second round. So, obviously liked him, 75 grade potential. Luke McKenzie we had looked at as a strong starting pitcher out of Western Oregon. Probably not the strongest, but definitely strong. So let's just do a quick check-in on kind of guys. So we still have Ray Jones and Weisenberg that we like for batters. Pitching-wise, Keplinger's still here. We'll have to consider that heavily. So let me break here, and then I will show you guys some options once I come to a decision. All right, here at pick 2 in the draft, 34 overall in the second round. A couple options here that I like. I'm down to sort of 3 players, but good thing for us, we pick twice in the next 3 selections, so only Arizona in between us here can kind of ruin our plan, if you will. So I'll show you a couple of the options that I find interesting. I'm really only considering 2 batters at this stage, and they're players we've looked at previously. Ray Jones is a solid college bat out of University of Maryland, great competition level, profiles as like a gap power, doubles threat. He's not going to strike out a ton, good contact, and kind of just average power and eye. Like that he brings the big arm, and I think he would be a great third baseman, could play second base as well, potential to develop into a shortstop, the 55 range. If you get a couple good dice rolls and that bumps up to the 60s, potentially it could work. Don't love the 45 turn 2 though, so I think he would likely be a third base option ideally. And he's good at small ball, good at bunting, decent speed, decent base runner. I like him. I don't love him enough to take him with this selection. I think we're going to wait on batter for our following pick. Donovan Weisenberg is probably the batter I'll look to take because his power is already so far along. He's more of the prototypical power corner infield profile. He is listed as a second baseman, which he could play, but I think you would want him to play at third long term. And I like that he has better work ethic. I think that's a point in his favor. And the power is already so far along that if we look at him relative to A-ball, he would absolutely mash down there. He is a year older, so that's a factor as well here. But I think he is a much higher starting floor, and he can move through our minor league system relatively quickly. So I was just kind of showing you his ratings relative to each league. If he is available with our next pick, I think he will be the selection. I've already kind of charted out how I want this to go. So I like him better between the two. There are a couple of other players down here as well. I'll show you Max Power because this is like an all-time name, Max Power. And he does profile to have a little bit of plus power here. We only see him as a 55, but he's a high leader, high school shortstop who has good range already. OSA sees him as a true 80 grade. They see his bat as being like absolutely tremendous. So gonna be interesting to see where he goes. I don't think I'm willing to take a high school bat here. It's just a little kind of risky. I think Weisenberg is pretty sure, so that's why I'm leaning toward him. But I want to go back to the pitching well here, and I'll say I'm just going to probably take Max Keplinger here, the UC Irvine starting power pitcher. We were considering with our first overall pick is available here. I think he has really plus pitches. The control is maybe a question mark, but overall I just like his starting point and floor, and he's kind of the type of pitcher that I like to bring on. Just the genre, the archetype of pitcher that I like. There are obviously several relievers here. You could question me for passing on. Brian Brown is probably the most ready out of the box here. He's coming in at almost 22 with 280 grade pitches, throws left-handed, but I just don't think the positional value of a reliever is like where we need to be right now. Like he obviously looks very, very good and probably will be very, very good, but I'm just wanting to take higher upside positions here. There are similar closers as well. Sam Sutliff is another left-handed reliever who throws close to 100. Also looks very good. There are a couple of pitchers down here that I like. Probably the closest one to Keplinger is Sergio Martinez. And Sergio is not that bad, you guys. Like, look at his pitch mix here. He's got 280 grade pitches. Changeup, we think, can get up to 70. The curveball is a little subpar, but all of them starting out at 50 grade. He's about to turn 22 as well. Kind of similar to Keplinger in a way. Really good at holding runners, throws right-handed, has good work ethic. I think maybe just slightly further away if we compare them directly. You can see them side by side. And Keplinger here on the left has a little more home run and movement to tap into, but Martinez is actually coming in with the higher starting point with the +5 on his control there. So, they're both kind of good. They're pretty decent both ways. But we were already looking at Keplinger with our first pick, so I think he is going to be who we go with here. So I will go ahead and drag him down. And, all of these players we were looking at are looking for pretty modest amounts of money. Keplinger, $750K. Martinez down here, $700K. And then if we go to the batters, they were both fairly cheap as well. Ray Jones, only $270, and Weisenberg, only $450. So this might shape up to be a pretty cheap draft for us in the long term. Maybe we can look to overslot some of our guys later. But we're going to go with Keplinger here. $750K underslot, like I mentioned. So we're going back-to-back pitcher with our first couple of picks here. It's just really difficult to find a quality starting pitching, and it's hard to develop. So I don't know that we've done a good job of that. Hopefully these two bodies kind of help boost us there. But let's go ahead and simulate for Arizona here. It looks like they are favoring a high school second baseman, and they do take Jim Harland. So we're up, and our scout would have us take one of Weisenberg or Ray Jones. And, I sort of waffled on this. I'll go back to it. I think it's helpful to look at them both side by side here. And, they each bring different strengths to the table where, obviously the contact profile of Ray Horn is maybe swaying me in his direction, given he is also younger and starting from a higher competition level. However, it's hard to find, the 15 points of raw power is, difficult to find and develop here. So I'm kind of torn on what we want to do. I actually may make a last-second pivot here and go back to Ray Jones, because I do think he brings that overall defensive versatility a little bit more. I try not to figure these things out on the fly. He can also play the outfield. I try to come at you guys with a decision already in hand, and I was sort of leaning Weisenberg, but now seeing this is making me think that I kind of want to go with Ray Jones. So let's actually do that. Let's get a little crazy with it. We're going to go with Horn here, the 20-year-old. He's definitely further away. Like, he's just a 50 at A-ball right now. So it's going to take him a little longer to work through our system, I think. Or do we want to go with Weisenberg? Because if you look at Weisenberg relative to A-ball, I think we're gonna go Weisenberg. Part of the calculus here too is that OSA sees Weisenberg as a true 80 grade. They see his bat as being very well rounded across all categories here, and we see it not too far off. He does have the high work ethic. Ray Jones, I think OSA only sees as a 60, like very, very similar to what we do. So I think I'm willing to risk it, go for the higher upside pick in Weisenberg. So full circle back to Weisenberg, as was the plan all along. We're going to draft him for $450K here. So that's our first three, all college players. So hopefully they can contribute sooner rather than later. Let's go ahead and auto draft here to our next pick in the third round. And it looks like we still have a fair amount of 60 grade talent available in the draft pool. So let me take a look, and I'll come back to you in just a sec. All right, y'all, back on the clock here in round 3. There are a few interesting options, although, I think our, the available pool is pretty tight. I'm only really considering a couple of guys here. Sergio Martinez is still available, the 21-year-old, almost 22-year-old right-hand pitcher out of Campbell University. Really like him. We've just taken 2 college pitchers already. So I checked the mock draft. He's not projected to go, but we know that is not really a accurate mark of where guys are going to get drafted. I think OSA views him a little lower. There is a chance he's available to us next round. We'll just kind of see. I think taking a third pitcher would be a luxury. I'm sort of looking to go back to position players here. Jeremy Baldwin is here as well, a reliever who we view as 60 grade potential and currently 40 overall. Obviously, he looks very good. He's a right-handed pitcher, and he has a tremendous fastball curve combo, touching triple digits. OSA doesn't really view him the same way. They view his control as being way, way down. So a little conflicting opinion there. I think too scary for me. I don't think we necessarily need to go reliever this high. This guy as well, Matt Hyland, is also highly regarded in the eyes of our scout, but given his age, he is I would say very far away with just the 25 rating on the curveball and his movement ratings in the 30s. Don't really think he is under consideration. So it's really just Martinez kind of down here. Not a ton of other starting pitchers available that I like. There are some high school arms here, but again, this guy's impossible to sign. I liked him, Kyle Rutter Jr., but not even going to bother showing him because he's impossible. So batter-wise, there's a player I like here, and I think this is going to be the name we take. All these 60 and 65 grade guys have certain flaws in their games that I'm kind of weary of. They're all rather expensive as well. Manuel Cordova is maybe the most interesting. He's a shortstop batting from the left side, appears to be pretty decent, good work ethic, 60 range we like, but doesn't really have a good arm. OSA has him down at just a 40 grade tool, so they think the bat is nowhere near what we see. He kind of has too many red flags to me. I think this guy is a little better. Vince Andringa. Vince Andringa. He is a 6'5" shortstop, too. He's a huge guy. He's got a plus glove, we think. Low adaptability, but I don't think that's really all that big of a red flag. And for an 18-year-old, he's already decently far along. The real, thing here is OSA views him as 80 grade. I mean, I don't usually put too much stock into OSA's view of things, but sometimes I do think it does help. And I kind of want to address, high school rookie ball infield. I always just love taking shots on these high school shortstops. I think it's a good sign that he's committed to go to Stanford as well. Wants $650K. I think we can afford the overslot here. So that is the player I have landed on. Also viewed very highly in the eyes of the draft pipeline here. That was also a factor. So they have him at 27. I took a look at these other guys as well, but we're going to ultimately go with Vince as our third round pick here. Actually wants a little underslot now. I think 650K, is under our 780 slot. So we'll meet his demand and keep things moving here. We're going to advance to our next pick. We'll see if the pitcher is still on the board or not. I had noticed too, I guess, previously with this Andringa selection, Ray Jones had gone 2 picks before, which was brutal, and Max Power had actually gone just like a dozen picks earlier. So we could have potentially had both of those players. Just was not, the luck didn't break our way there, unfortunately. So I'm scrolling through here to see if any of our pitchers are still available. And it looks like we had good luck. Jeremy Baldwin goes, the reliever, 2 picks earlier to Tampa. But Martinez is still available. So let me do a quick pass here of all the 50-grade guys in both batters and hitters, and I'll just make sure that we want to take him, and I'll check back with you once I've determined that. All right, guys, I think we've landed on a decision here. Obviously, we've gone double pitcher off rip and then kind of corner, third baseman, shortstop out of high school to start. So we've addressed infield and pitching. And, I was trying to find a good outfielder that I liked. And there are several, but they're all high schoolers. There is a funny guy here, Colt McCoy, so the Texas quarterback, is in this year's draft. There was also a player I meant to mention called Jeff Gordon, so like a NASCAR racer. So like a couple of funny names here. Obviously, McCoy looks very awesome and has an 80-grade tool in that gap power with his speed. I shouldn't pass on him, but we're so outfield heavy, and his timeline would be he would be looking to debut pretty soon. I just don't think it aligns with kind of our roster or our system as a whole. So, going to pass on Colt McCoy. Just wanted to acknowledge that he is a very talented player. All of these high school guys I think are a little more interesting, but because there are 3 of them, I'm willing to let it play out a little bit more. I think the pitching kind of drops off here, especially at starter. If we go to starters here, there's only a couple dozen 50-grade guys left, and the high school pitchers are always so risky. I've highlighted a couple I like down here, but I'm not willing to pass on the sure thing that is Sergio Martinez. So if we go ahead and just drag him down here, we'll take a look at Martinez again. He's a college arm, about to be 22, so this will be our 3rd college arm, but love the good work ethic, brings decent velo, has 3 really quality pitches at a very nice starting point. Even though the movement is just average, love the hold runner ability and the good stamina as well. So we're going to go back to the pitching well here with Martinez. He's overslot, but we are fine because we underslotted with Flanagan by such a wide margin very early in the draft and have underslotted every pick since. So we're good to start buying a little bit here. We're going to go with Martinez and meet his demand. And we just have 1 pick left to make on camera. So let's go ahead and advance to that selection. And we'll take a look and see who is available on the board. It looks like one of our high school pitchers is still here. David Morrissey is a left-handed sort of control movement guy, is only going to throw mid-90s, but love the work ethic with him. I'm honestly not wowed by his profile. He's got several yellow category attributes, but I felt like I mentioned, the pitching kind of dried up a bit. So I'll double back on that to kind of make sure no one is there. If we go to relievers, it looks like John Geiger, a right-handed ground baller, is one of the top arms here. Great fastball splitter combo. The control is a little subpar, but I think there's 80-grade stuff in there. Iona is average competition level. May dip into the reliever market here if I find someone that I really, really like. Jonathan Sherman is a right-handed pitcher. Actually has good stamina as well, and plus control. So the movement is kind of the question with him. As far as batters, We have our outfielder, Ezra Dillard, still available. Jason Meyer and Colt McCoy are also both there. Jason Meyer's an infielder along with Ryan Shook. So looks like there was only one remaining high school outfielder I liked. That was Ezra Dillard here, who's just pretty well-rounded, but he bats left, has a good arm. I think OSA views him more positively. Yes, they do. And he never causes trouble in the clubhouse, which we like. So possible that we go with him. Just a lefty developmental outfielder I think would be smart to bring on. He's one of the better young options available. Let me break, though. I'll come back to you with a choice in just a sec. All right, we're going to keep things simple here and just kind of address another position we haven't taken here. That is outfielder. I looked at the pitching. I wasn't really wowed by anyone. We've gone so pitching heavy, I think we need to go position player here. Ezra Dillard is our last remaining, identified talent in the outfield. That is at the high school level. Again, I mentioned my gripes with Colt McCoy, not with him as a player, just with where he would sit within our system. So I kind of have removed him from consideration. But all the other high school outfielders I had been looking at have disappeared. So there is a player at the top of the board here, Manuel Cordova, who I showed earlier a couple rounds ago that I was considering. Ultimately ended up going with the other shortstop, but Cordova hits from the left side here. We think he's awesome. We think he's going to be a 60 grade tool or player, 60 grade. That was a terrible way of saying that. Sorry, but if we push him to rookie ball right away, he's going to be pretty far away. All of these ratings in the 30s are not exactly inspiring. Combine that with the OSA view of having him at just a 40. I think there are red flags with him. He wants 1.4 mil, so I was running the numbers. Obviously, we can afford this if we want to splurge on him. However, I think I'm going to wait another round. I don't think he's projected to go, and I'm just not overwhelmed by his talent where we must absolutely have him. I'm going to go with Dillard here. So Dillard is a left-handed corner outfielder with a big-time arm. Kind of just a well-rounded profile here. There is quite the difference in opinion, though, between our scout and OSA. So OSA, they view his incoming floor as much higher. He is a bit younger. He's only 17, about to be 18. So that's a point in his favor as well. Obviously, just great measurables. Projects to have plus power, gap power, eye. Everything here is really awesome. According to our scout, just average. But like I mentioned, I'm kind of just wanting to check off the box of taking an outfielder here. So we will look to add him. He's also viewed pretty highly. With the OSA scouting, he's viewed pretty highly in the eyes of the draft pipeline. I want to say a top player. He's at 71 here. So, yep, we're going to take him. I just liked him best. We're going to meet his demand of $700K, overslot the pick here. And I think we will look to overslot the next couple of picks. But the next time I check in with you, we will have wrapped the draft and we can kind of review all of our selections together, and I'll shout out any more notable names. So let me take care of that. I'll be back in a sec. All right, guys, we've officially wrapped the 2032 draft. As you can see, beyond the fifth round pick we made on camera, we actually ended up selecting quite a few more players that were overslot and demanded offers. So in total, though, we still fell under our draft budget. I believe if you total all of these up, it is $7.7 million. And you'll remember in our draft expenditures, we had close to 8.5 budgeted. So that's going to open up a little bit of wiggle room financially for us to make moves at the trade deadline at the beginning of next episode. So that should be exciting. If we go in and review the players we took, I'll kind of show you the first couple. I do think there are some interesting names here. So we last left off with Ezra Dillard, the outfielder, who seems solid, capable, definitely young and moldable. We ended up taking a lot more high school players. We only took, I think, one college player that gets promoted to a higher level. In the back end of the draft, I should say, we're obviously going to push guys like Martinez, Weisenberg, Keplinger, and Flanagan to higher levels once they sign. But only one of our remaining picks was a college player. So the first player we took in the 6th round was Ryan Shook, a left-handed infielder who has a lot of base running talent and speed, good gap power. I think the combo of those two elements will benefit him. Obviously, again, super young here. I think he profiles as a quality hitter all around. We took David Morrissey, the left-handed 19-year-old pitching prospect who is kind of like soft-tossing mid-90s, but has good work ethic, good stamina. If he can realize this plus 65 control, I think that will lift everything else here. Felt like he's coming in at a pretty high floor for a rookie ball pitcher. After Morrissey, we went with Josh Long, a big power-hitting first baseman. So 80 grade raw power here with 70 I is a pretty nice find this late in the draft, just 18 years old. Obviously, he's going to strike out, but brings a little bit of BABIP to his game. Not the best gap power, but overall, I think he should be pretty awesome. OSA sees him very similar to us, so if we can feel confident in the profile we're getting here with Josh Long in the 8th. Then we went with Jason Mayer here in the 9th, a high work ethic, high baseball IQ combo guy. Not the best defender, but think the bat is there. Who knows if he ever makes it to the majors, but felt like his durability, personality was a fair set of attributes to bet on. We then took Sam Laughlin, a center field prospect who is very, very far away. But he is 17 and has that 60 range in the outfield, which we like. Not got to work on that error rating, but if this power and Void K ever comes along, he could be good. And then finally, I think the last couple of guys, Brad Sousa has still yet to sign, but the 17-year-old pitching prospect, also a strong work ethic, good at holding runners, decent stamina. I think has 3 pretty good pitches here. Kind of hard to find pitching talent late in the draft, but I felt like he warranted the overslot bonus there. And then we kind of just dipped into more high school developmental players here. I don't think any of them are all that interesting to see. The college player we took was Dylan Manis, who is a left-handed hitting outfielder with good work ethic, good arm, decent range, pushing him immediately up to high A, just kind of see what we have. He is a bit older. He's almost 22. I think all of these ratings look pretty strong, and he seems somewhat capable. So we'll see if he turns in anything out of Houston. Great competition level. So, kind of just a long shot, probably just a 4A player, but felt like he is notable to mention. Anyway, I also wanted to kind of use this segment as a way to revisit previous drafts. We haven't done that, I don't think, as a full segment. So I just kind of want to look at our first couple of picks here that we made in the series, like first round picks throughout the years. Obviously, Quentin Young in 2025, we've since cut him loose from the organization, and he's fully realized his potential as a 40 grade player. It looks like he is playing in Canada somewhere in indie ball now at this point. Has completely fallen out of the majors. So definitely a whiff on our part. I don't know that we really hit on any player in this first draft other than Finn McElroy in the 4th and Brock Kettleson in the 7th. Otherwise, just quite a few misses. A couple of fringe major league guys, but no one special. Next draft, we took Alex Harrington at 1, and we thought we were getting a Bobby Witt Jr. Comparable player here at shortstop. Ultimately has not evolved into that, and I think there's still kind of a long way to go with him, but he is that plus defender. I don't know that it's a total bust at first. Obviously, we were hoping on more there, but we got Tyler August in the 2nd round, who was an all-star for us last season. This year has sort of struggled. He's back down at AAA. Camden Koziel has played for us the last 2 seasons, is a 2-time World Series champion for us. Really kind of like Luis Arraez-esque contact forward, first base, second base, lefty hitter. So drafted him out of Arkansas so far. I would say he's been really awesome. But no other major players here. Cole Stokes, actually, though, our current closer, we took in the 7th round, and Nolan Stevens, our current DH, we took in the 8th round. So maybe the 2026 draft was actually pretty good for us. The following year, obviously, we took the best player in the series, Dan Beebe, 1 overall. He is tremendous. Phil Goodall, we took 2nd, and he's contributed for us, obviously dealing with a herniated back at AAA at the moment. But I would say that's a hit in the 2nd round. Ryan Malaguti has never come along, now is dealing with a torn UCL, out for the year. But Brian Hiles in the 4th round, has done quite well for us, and I think we can consider that a hit as well. Paul Waldron is knocking on the door, likely going to make the team next year, I would expect. So 3 or 4 out of our top 5 picks here, I think, did pretty well. No one else, like I would say, super notable other than, well, Seth Weinberger in the 11th. He's our starting first baseman now in DH against left-handed pitching. So I guess we got a late round steal there. The following year in 2028, we took Ben Small. A high school draftee at the time has now come all the way along. I don't know why it keeps defaulting back to OSA here, but now we view him as a 70 grade talent. One of the rare, I guess, high school prospects to fully develop. We took Jason Solis in the second round. I would say he has disappointed largely. Wonderly, complete bust. Wallace Cannell, I think we still have something there. He's still only 21, so not the worst draft here, I would say. Zimmerman has contributed to our bullpen down here as well. Tony Granger was our first-round pick in 2029. I think maybe he can finally crack the team next season or possibly in September of this year. We'll have to see for him. Otherwise, a pretty quiet draft all around. I don't know that any of these other players have made a name for themselves. Russ Meshke, our second-round pick, is still just a 30 overall at 21 years old, so that's a little disappointing. In 2030, a lot of these guys now in these next 2 drafts are still so young in our system, but we took Bill Bumgarner with our first-round pick. Merlin is looking honestly kind of rough, you guys. This might be a bust. He just immediately fell off a cliff when we drafted him. 2 seasons in rookie ball now, has not really developed yet. I don't know if it's coaching or if he was just so raw when he came in. We'll see if he can compete at maybe A-ball level now, but I still kind of think he is a long way away. I'm kind of writing him off, honestly, at this point. I don't even know that I want to spend resources on developing him. He's down to just a 35 stamina as well, so it's kind of a yikes on Merlin. They actually are using him in relief down here at rookie ball, it looks like. So that's pretty tough. But we took Kung Fu Panda in the second, with a supplemental first, and we still like him quite a bit. Brian Wyatt similarly has fallen off in the eyes of our scout now, seen as just a 40 grade guy. Luke Thompson as well, the other pitcher we took. So not the strongest draft there. Dave Chavez last year is looking good at high A. We're going to look to promote him to a higher level. Same for Mykowski. We have him up at double A now. So those top 2 guys are looking good. Brandon Wiley, still very developmental. Had a decent year at rookie ball. Batted .333, I can see on the tooltip there. So pretty solid. We'll see how this year's draft class can stack up. But now it is time to pivot our attention back to our current Pirates and the season at hand. So you can see we sit here on the 11th of July, not too many more games before the All-Star break where we will next check in. We have the rubber match here on the road in Los Angeles, and then we continue our road trip. We go to Kansas City and then up to Minnesota afterwards before breaking for the All-Star game, and then I'll look to, simulate through all of this and check back with you here on the 22nd to kind of review all the notable awards, all of our recognition at the All-Star game, who wins the home run derby, who's in the prospect game, all of that. And then we'll kind of do a time check on the video. We may end it there. We'll see how things look. Obviously, to table set, our Pirates were 56-34, like we mentioned. Have been playing decently. We're 7-3 over our last 10. Still kind of trying to keep Cincinnati at bay, I would say. But overall, best record in the majors, as we know. Have been dealing with injuries this season. You'll remember Connor Griffin has pretty much lost the entire season, but Wyatt Sanford is playing at an MVP caliber level, and Dan Beebe is going for the Triple Crown. So a lot of strong performers, guys who have picked up the slack with the injury to Griffin. So let me run through these games. I'll rejoin you after all of that, and we will dive into the news together. All right, you guys, jumping in here on the 23rd of July. As you can see, overall the team has been playing well coming into the All-Star break. We actually ended up losing the series in LA 15-7 in that final game, kind of a big offensive explosion for both teams, but went on to sweep Kansas City and then sweep the Twins as well in Minnesota. So a lot to be happy about as we head into the All-Star break. We've also, in these 2 weeks of game time, signed all of our draftees. So that brings our spend up to $7.7 million on the draft expenditure line item here. We adjusted the budget to match that figure. And now that leaves us with a little under $5 million of available money to pursue trade acquisitions. So I think that'll be something we look forward to in next episode. Like I kind of mentioned at the top of the video, I want to keep this one a little bit tight. So I think we may end up ending the episode off here, but we still have news to recap here. First, I'll start with the draft stuff. Since we did bring everyone on, I'll show you a couple of players. We're starting Jeff Flanagan out at high A currently, and he's made one start. It went pretty well through 100 pitches even, 55 game score, 2 allowed, gave up 7 hits, but only walked 1, struck out 4. Kind of just figuring it out, I think, his ratings relative to A-ball. I'm trying to tap into this extra stuff here and grow up his stuff just by a little bit. If he makes like 2 or 3 good starts down here, we'll probably push him up to Eastern League and then maybe have him close the year at AAA. The other pitchers we drafted are down at A-ball level. So we've got both Keplinger and Martinez down here. Martinez actually just signed, so he has yet to make a start. Keplinger has made 2 starts, and they've both gone pretty well, I would say. His most recent one on the 19th here was awesome. 7 innings of 4-hit baseball, only walking 1 and striking out 10. So a tremendous 78 game score there. His first one honestly wasn't too bad. He got a little bit hit around, 8 hits, 3 earned runs. Still only walked 2, struck out 6, so a little subpar. Took the loss in the first game. Second game, tremendous. Looking forward to what he can do for us down here. I don't think there are many other notable names. We made promotions across all of our minor league system, and part of that brought Dave Chavez up to the AA level. So he was mashing at high A this season, had a OPS over 1,000, 144 WRC plus, and it looks like he's really crushing it through only 2 games of sample here, but has hit 2 home runs and has driven in 4, OPSing over 2,100. Wow. So 406 WRC plus. We'll see if that is sustainable or not. Actually hit 2 homers in his most recent game. But excited to see how far he can go. I don't know that we're wanting to call him up, to the MLBs this season just because he is a little splitsy at the moment. Hopefully he can work on that. But his ratings relative to the AA level look really encouraging and are more well-balanced against both sides there. So, he's 23. I don't think he's very far away at all. I think, there's potential for him to break camp with us next season and be our, opening day first baseman. But we're going to kind of take it slow, play it by ear, just see how far he can make it this season in the minors. But wanted to acknowledge his quick ascent. So, in terms of All-Star news, let's go ahead and finish on that. We've been recanvassing our whole system here. Everyone signed, like I mentioned. Fan votes are in. And we don't really have all that many All-Stars. I think last season was a simulation high for us. I think we had five or six guys, if I remember correctly. This year is a little more tepid, I guess. I'll scroll through the AL so you can kind of see them, but I'm not going to dive in especially deep. Dan Beebe is your starter. Obviously, he's 14-2, has an ERA at 1.34, 4.8 WAR on the year. He's by far the best pitcher in baseball this season. We don't get any acknowledgement in the bullpen, but Omar Alfonso is your starting catcher, which is awesome. He's up to 3.2 WAR, 140 WRC plus. Just a great season all around for him. There's a lot of good competition at catcher, though, I would say. Ryan Campos, 3.4. To Iverson Gutierrez, 2.8. And Jefferson Carroll, also 2.8 WAR. So, pretty strong league catching-wise. I don't think there are any other players here other than Wyatt Sanford, who gets the start at shortstop. So we finally get the starter there. He hasn't actually made the All-Star game like at all, this simulation. It's always been so competitive. It usually goes to Ellie De La Cruz and Mason Wynn. This year, Ellie did make it, but he did not get named the starter, as Sanford has him beat in pretty much all of the statistical categories apart from steals. But we don't get any shoutouts in the outfield, which I think is rare. Termar does not make it at third base either, so only 2 position players for us this season, and just the pitcher, Dan Beebe. But I felt like there were a couple of interesting names here in the bullpen. Sorry, I forgot to mention. Yoldin De La Paz, you'll remember him from very early in the sim, has been with Colorado for the last few seasons. And it looks like it's been a little up and down. He's had like a good year, a not so good year, and then this year he's back to being awesome for them. So looks like he, found found his groove there in Colorado. Love to see that. Also noticed Jaden Woods is here for Philly, who is 7-1. We had him early in the sim as well, kind of stretched into a reliever. It looks like he's maybe lost a pitch in his arsenal. I remember him having like a deeper bag than this, but maybe I'm mistaken. I'm unsure, but looks like he's been solid for them the last several seasons. 2030 got over 100 innings of work with them. So a couple of old Pirate faces there, but otherwise pretty quiet for us. The futures game as well is also pretty quiet for us. The only acknowledgement we get in the National League is our star catching prospect Javier Ruiz, who is there. I believe that's the only nod. I'll double check here, and yeah. So Alexis Brainia doesn't make it, our shortstop from IAFA free agency. He's probably a little too far away. Javier Ruiz, we've bumped to high A now. He's got 5 games under his belt. So far, he's hit 3 home runs in those 5 games and driven in 11. So it looks like it's going well. I think he probably just finishes the year out here. Maybe next season we start him off at AA and he can push through AA and AAA. Then he'll be knocking on the door of the major leagues, but his most recent scouting report was pretty kind to him as well. His potential power is back up to 70. His current eye improved to 50, and his defense also jumped up to 55. So he's really coming along. Just 5-game sample, OPSing 1,400, but his full season at A-ball before this was going really well as well. Almost walking 20% of the time, super high walk rate, OPS 861. 2.3 WAR. So, pleased to see his defense come along as well, the blocking and framing. Looking good. The power and eye, obviously, those are his calling cards. So, glad to have him up at high A. And he's recognized as a, futures game invitee. But, yeah, he's kind of the only one. No other mention there. Avon Mayer, we had taken a look at this guy in international free agency several seasons ago. I think we opted to go with a different, maybe Hernandez was our choice here, but anyway, he's acknowledged as the Astros prospect for futures game MVP. Aito Toda, the Japanese international free agent, second base, third baseman, wins the home run derby, takes it over James Wood in a final round score of 30-14. So bro hit 30 homers, which is crazy. He is definitely a generational power bat, pacing for 44 on the season. Honestly, you'll take this production for sure. You would wish the walk rate would be slightly higher with the 75 eye, but at the same time, it's still pretty good. Definitely getting a ton of slugging out of him. It's his second year in the major leagues, I guess, for Boston. So he gets the home run derby nod. In the actual All-Star game itself, it's kind of a snoozer. It's only a 2-1 game, but the National League takes it. Dan Beebe got the start, I believe, here in the box score. He did, and allowed 1 hit, struck out 1, then got pulled, and that was that. I don't believe we had any offensive production. It looks like Alfonso walked, and let's see about shortstop. Where is our guy here? Am I just totally missing him? Sanford. Yep. Hitless. Unfortunate. So I think we're going to, like I mentioned, leave it here. I went a little deeper on the draft than I normally would, but our Pirates are, ready to attack the second half here. We obviously have the best record in all of baseball with that recent stretch of play, 62-35 on the year. A couple games up on the Dodgers. They are at 56 and 40. And a couple of games up on the teams in the AL as well. So hopefully we can keep that pace and lock up home field advantage for the playoffs. In next episode, we're going to look to finish out the rest of the year. So we're going to play through the remainder of June. I have some trade deadline moves in mind, but I didn't want to, spoil them in this episode. I think we'll probably play this little homestand here and try to make those trade moves on the 29th there. So we'll play through July, August, and September in the next video. It looks like we have some games in October as well. So we'll look to finish out the year, and then that'll be a nice table setting for our playoff episode in the following, video in the series. So a lot to look forward to. I am excited to finish this year out. As always, I appreciate you guys for watching. I'll be back with more consistent uploads for you this week. And that's pretty much it. So take care, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.